When we think about the things that people steal, some things are understandable, whereas others defy all logic. We have put together a list of weirdest things that have been reported stolen. Be ready to scratch your head in bewilderment. Napoleon's junk. Swiping some human toes is pretty darn strange, but what if I told you the infamous military leader, Napoleon, once had his crown jewels stolen, literally? In 1977, an investor paid $3,000 to purchase the dismembered penis of the famous military leader and emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte. According to Time magazine, a dismembered penis measured 1.5 inches in length when it was purchased. The price was based on an unconventional appraisal, where each inch was deemed to be worth $1,000. Perhaps the only thing stranger than the $3,000 purchase is the dismembered organ's 50-year trek across the Western world. Napoleon's doctor took the penis during Napoleon's autopsy after Napoleon died on the island of St. Helena in 1821. The military giant had been exiled there and likely died of stomach cancer. The doctor gave the penis to a priest, who smuggled it into Corsica, shortly before he was murdered. Next, the penis fell into the hands of a British collector in 1916. The French government turned down an opportunity to buy the penis, and it went on to become a public relic for the next 50 years. In 1927, it was even put on display in New York by an American rare books dealer who had bought the penis in 1924. Finally, in 1977, a urologist and professor decided to end the notoriety of Napoleon's dismembered penis by purchasing it for $3,000. Not wanting to draw any more attention to the penis, the collector kept it under his bed and refused to show it to anyone who asked to see it. Since then, rumors have circulated that a subsequent offer was made to purchase the penis for $100,000. If the offer was real, that would be a total return on investment of about 3,200%. Had the collector decided to part with the penis, it would have been a more profitable investment than Facebook, Google, Microsoft, or even Apple, history's greatest brain. Albert Einstein, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist who gave the world the theory of relativity, E=mc2, and the law of the photoelectric effect, obviously had a special brain. So special that when he died in Princeton Hospital, on April 18, 1955, the pathologist on call, Thomas Harvey, stole it. Einstein didn't want his brain or body to be studied, he didn't want to be worshipped. But Harvey took the brain anyway, without permission from Einstein or his family. Not only did Harvey steal Albert Einstein's brain, but he also removed the physicist's eyes, which he then gave to Einstein's ophthalmologist. Harvey soon lost his job at the Princeton Hospital and took the brain to Philadelphia, where it was carved into 240 pieces and preserved in celluloid, a hard and rubbery form of cellulose. He divvied up the pieces into 2 jars and stored them in his basement. Just when you think this story can't get any weirder, it does. As Brian Burrell, writer of Postcards from the Brain Museum, explains. After Harvey's wife threatened to dispose of the brain, he returned to retrieve it and took it with him to the Midwest. For a time he worked as a medical supervisor in a biological testing lab in Wichita, Kansas, keeping the brain in a cider box stashed under a beer cooler. He moved again, to Weston, Missouri, and practiced medicine while trying to study the brain in his spare time, only to lose his medical license in 1988 after failing a 3-day competency exam. Was it different from the average brain? In 1985, the first study of Albert Einstein's stolen brain revealed that it did indeed appear physically different from the average brain. The genius reportedly had an above-average amount of glial cells, which keep the neurons in the brain oxygenated and, therefore, engaged. A subsequent study out of the University of Alabama at Birmingham in 1996 asserted that these neurons were also more tightly packed than usual and thus possibly allowed for faster processing of information. 3 years later, the third study of Harvey's photos posited that Einstein's inferior parietal lobule was wider than average, which might have made him a more visual thinker than most. And more recently, a 2012 study claimed that Einstein's brain featured an extra ridge in its midfrontal lobe, an area associated with plan making and memory. Ultimately, that debate over the specifics of Einstein's brain is unlikely to end anytime soon, even though most of it were returned to Princeton Hospital. Other slides of the notorious organ, however, were donated to medical institutions. Before his death in 2007, Thomas Harvey donated the remainder of Einstein's brain to the National Museum of Health and Medicine, with Philadelphia's Mutter Museum having samples of its own on display to this day. E.T. Phone Home. Pensioner Margaret Wells was stunned when her life-size replica of the alien from Steven Spielberg's 1982 smash hit was stolen in a burglary at her home. Mrs. Wells, a grandmother of 3, is desperate for the 3-foot-high extraterrestrial, believed to be worth £2,000, to phone home. The 76-year-old had received the extraterrestrial from her daughter Louise, 42, who created it over 3 months on a stage makeup course 9 years ago. The replica was among a bizarre haul, including an iron, stolen from Mrs. Wells' terraced house. The raiders used a bin to climb over the back wall into the garden before prizing open the back door using a spade left outside. Although hope seemed lost, there was a bizarre twist in the tale in January 2012 when a beach walker found the replica washed up on a beach in Old Portsmouth and initially mistook it for a dead body. Although neither the police nor Margaret has an idea of who stole the model, Mrs. Wells is delighted to have been reunited with her beloved life-sized ET, which was handcrafted by her daughter 9 years ago. Manhole madness. Forget all about Ocean's 8 and allow me to tell you about the most successful heist you've ever heard of before, the Great Manhole Theft of 1990. 9 days after the cast iron covers began disappearing at a dizzying rate from Hollywood to South Central Los Angeles, police on a stakeout at a downtown Los Angeles scrap metal yard pulled aside a beat-up truck. Inside, they found what they were looking for, more than a ton of catch basin covers and storm drain grates. Police said that 2 suspects, who may be part of a larger theft ring, were about to sell the load for a mere $75 to the downtown metal center in Los Angeles when they were apprehended. Arrested on charges of receiving stolen property were Antonio Lopez, 23, and Efrain de Leon Barrios, 19, both of whom told police that they were Mexican nationals who recently arrived in Los Angeles. A fin-fin situation. You wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal a handbag, you wouldn't steal a television, you wouldn't steal a shark. Newman, 68, said he realized the shark was missing Saturday morning when he found the door to the converted garage ajar and the lights on inside. The 2 sharks have already produced 7 pups, which are kept in an adjacent tank, Newman said. None of them were taken in the theft. His wife, June Newman, said the pair might together be worth as much as £10,000, $20,838 Australian dollars, because of their rarity. She said she was puzzled by the theft, explaining that it would have been difficult to snatch the shark because the top of the tank was around 1.5 meters off the ground. Forget petty theft, try stealing a live shark out of its tank before holding it for ransom. Now that's what I call equally dumb and badass. A thief with hope in one hand gets poop in the other. Des Moines police went to a Cummins Road address around 4:45 p.m. Wednesday to meet a man about a burglary, according to a police report. The victim told police that someone broke into the driver's side door of his truck around 3 a.m. that day. According to the report, the suspect used an unknown blunt object to break the door lock open, then busted plastic from the steering column and switch of the truck. The suspect failed at stealing the truck, and the victim believes the thief then checked the bed of the vehicle and stole a bag of dog feces. Police have not identified the suspect or any other witnesses. If the poop snatcher is found, he or she may face third-degree burglary charges. The dog feces was valued at $1. Bridge. An old 10-ton railway bridge was dismantled and stolen in broad daylight in the Czech Republic. According to the Pravo Daily, the metal bridge, built in 1901 over a river near Slavkov town in Karlovy Vary province, was taken away by thieves using a crane and trucks. Pavel Hala, the spokesman for the Czech Railways, said the thieves also stole around 200 meters of railway track. A police patrol questioned the thieves during the act, but the thieves showed the police some forged documents, which stated an alleged agreement with the country's railways to dismantle the bridge, he said. A police spokeswoman said the total damage caused by the dismantled bridge and railway track, which were allegedly stolen for the scrap metal, could total some 120,000 Czech kronas, over $6,000. That is the end of the Most Bizarre Stolen Things series. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.